Lord forgive me for this trap shit. Sergeant Smack making backflip. Telly Hank did with the action. With the Vato speaking Spanish. Frank Matthews, how I vanish. Poof. Came back like I'm King Tut. Gold BBS is on a beamer. When Fat Cat was 10 queens up. Ball off the profit, not the re-up. Fly like Puerto Rican Jesus. Uptown like I'm Baby May. Just caught a touchdown from the bay.
With the arrival of this plane comes the chance for justice. Mexican prosecutors will now be able to put Sandra Beltran on trial again for her alleged role in Mexico's deadly drugs war. She'll be charged with using illicit funds, but has just served time in a US prison for helping her drug trafficker ex-boyfriend evade arrest. For the last 6 years, the 52-year-old has been in custody. Despite that, she managed to get Botox injections inside a Mexican jail. Beltran was acquitted of the initial charges of drug trafficking and money laundering because of a lack of evidence. But then she was extradited to the United States on drug trafficking charges, before agreeing a plea deal on less serious crimes. Recent major arrests include, in July, the capture of the head of the Zetas cartel, one of the world's most notorious drug gang leaders. And at the weekend, the leader of the Gulf cartel was also arrested. There was $8 million of reward for his capture. It marks more success for the strategy of President Enrique Peña Nieto. Since he came to power in December, there have been less high-profile, instead a broader reduction of violence. Nonetheless, lives continue to be lost. Drug-related violence killed 60,000 people since 2006. They're victims of the fight for control of a lucrative industry which is worth millions of dollars to those at the top. Sandra Beltran previously claimed that her fortune came not from drugs but property and selling clothes. But now the so-called Queen of the Pacific will have to account.
Known as the Queen of the Pacific, she was accused of controlling drug routes between Colombia and Mexico. Sandra Ávila Beltrán is a free woman again, after spending more than 7 years in prison both in Mexico and the United States. A Mexican judge ruled in her favor after her attorneys appealed a 5-year sentence for money laundering. The judge said she had already served time in the United States for a similar crime before being deported back to Mexico in 2013.
Under the American judicial system, she was sentenced to 70 months in jail, and she has met that. There were no compelling reasons to either try her again. There were no other charges that are visible there, so she met her sentence.
Ávila Beltrán earned an infamous reputation for being a powerful woman in the male-dominated underworld of Mexican organized crime. She was first arrested in 2007, just hours before her lover, a powerful Colombian drug lord who's still behind bars.
She was tied emotionally to one of the Colombian leaders. She's also a relative to at least 2 of different Mexican capos.
Ávila Beltrán is the niece of Miguel Ángel Félix Gallardo, the leader of the now-defunct Guadalajara cartel. She's also related to Rafael Caro Quintero, sought by the U.S. government for his alleged role in the death of DEA agent Enrique Camarena. Ávila Beltrán herself has been accused of drug trafficking in both Mexico and the United States, but has never been convicted. While in prison in Mexico, authorities say she might have managed to get Botox treatment. She has inspired several folk songs in recent years, as well as a 2002 novel that was later adapted into a TV series. She seemed defiant and even cynical in this interrogation video shot shortly after her 2007 arrest. Asked what she did for a living, she described herself as a homemaker.
¿A qué te dedicas?
Al hogar y al comercio.
After a short pause, she added, "I'm also a businesswoman." Rafael Romo, CNN.
Yo, we back. It's your boy Popalot. Mobb ties. Now we headed south of the border with this shit. All the way down to Baja California, Mexico. Now, today we are going to be covering one of the most biggest drug dealers that we ever covered on Mobb Ties. And it's a her. Yeah, that's right. Today we're going to be covering Sandra Avilia Beltran, better known as the Queen of the South, better known as the Queen of the Pacific, Queen of the Ocean. We're going to talk a little bit about mainly how she got those names, the charges that she's facing, some of her alliances in the drug world. I know one thing, when she was arrested, it's almost like her mugshot went viral. Sometimes you might get this, you might get a drug dealer, a female, especially if they look decent. And they're going to be like, well, how the fuck, what they getting into? What we about to break it down right now. Now, the Queen of the South, or Miss Beltran, like I said, was born in Baja California, Mexico. Which is a city in Mexico. And she comes from a family that's very, very closely tied to drug trafficking. So we're going to break it down. Now, she's a family member of a guy by the name of Rafael Quintero. And he's the former leader of the Guadalajara cartel, if you guys are familiar with the drug traffickers in Mexico. Now, they're going to say family connections played a huge boost in her career. She was also tied to the Beltran-Lavilla brothers. Then they were the top heads of the Sinaloa cartel. So they're going to say that she is the niece of a guy by the name of Miguel Felix Camarena. And if anybody is familiar with that name, they might be familiar with Narcos. And they're going to know him as the guy that had a playing in the death of the DEA agent in Narcos. I want to say Kiki. No, I can't remember his name right off top, but it's a big deal. One of the first times DEA agent got murdered. And if you've seen Narcos, you know exactly what I'm talking about. They got laws about that shit now and all type of shit. They're going to say her great uncle is a guy by the name of Juan Jose Payan. He was extradited to the United States on drug trafficking charges. And then they got her mother's side, which was involved in heroin smuggling in the 1970s, but later moved on to cocaine. Now, a little bit more about her. They said when she was younger, in her early days, she had a lot of affairs with prominent known drug barons. She was also married twice, and both the gentlemen she married were police commanders, or should I say ex-police commanders, because they would go on to become drug traffickers, and they were both later killed by hired assassins. And a lot of authorities are going to say her rise to power primarily in the drug world came from her most recent relationship with a guy by the name of Juan Diego Ramirez, also known as the Tiger. And they're going to say he's an important figure in the Colombian Norte del Valle cartel. So besides all of that, they also is going to say she's a close link between that Colombian cartel and the Mexican cartel. So that's just her family breakdown. Now, as far as how she got the name, the police are going to say that they seized, in 2001, they would seize 9 tons of cocaine on a ship in the Pacific port. And they also tracked that shipment to her and her lover at the time. It's going to be a guy by the name of Espinoza Ramirez. And that is going to be one of the main ways that, or one of the main reasons she got the name Queen of the Ocean, Queen of the Pacific. Because anybody that can have 9 tons sitting there, they're going to be pretty much a big dog in the game. Now, they're going to say that she came under authority suspicion when her son was kidnapped in 2002, and he was held for $5 million ransom, US dollars. She ended up able to get him back without raising suspicion from the government at that time, but after 4 years after that, and 30 federal agents later, they finally arrested her along with Espinosa Ramirez, and that was on September 28, 2007 in Mexico City. And she was charged with and convicted of money laundering. And they're going to say that was billions of dollars worth of drugs that was smuggled from Colombia to Mexico. Now, in the infamous jailhouse or interrogation video, she's going to say that she was just a housewife. She made a little bit of money selling clothes, renting houses, doing things like that. But I don't think authorities was buying that. And she would end up being arrested and actually serving 7 years, which she is now free. But during that 7 year conviction, actually in January 2011, it was an investigation that was launched into a doctor that allowed her to enter the prison and give her Botox injections and treatments, which is not authorized by inmates, as you guys might know. And just for that, the prison director, the hospital chief were relieved of their duties. Subsequently, all the drug charges that they had against her were dropped in 2011, and as of February 2015, February 2015, they're gonna report that she was free, and this is according to CNN. And who knows where she is right now. She was extradited and deported in June. So right now, they say that she might be in the city of Guadalajara, but who knows? But just on her popularity alone, we mentioned Narcos. I talked about the DEA agent that was killed. She also was portrayed by an actor by the name of Teresa Ruiz, where Teresa Ruiz played a fictional character based off of Beltran by the name of Isabella Batista. And that's going to be on a Narcos Mexico series, if you guys are into the Narcos series. And another popular Netflix show that you guys might know, The Queen of the South. The Queen of the South is loosely based on her. I got a lot of requests. This is one reason how we stumbled upon this video. So y'all make sure y'all hit that like button. Y'all make sure y'all follow me on Instagram, on Twitter. It's your boy POP_A_LOT. Y'all get at me in the comments. Y'all direct message me who I need to cover, if I got something wrong, if I missed something, what city I ain't been to, what gangsta I missed, all that shit. And y'all already know what it is. It's the Mobb. Mobb ties.